Hello there.
Hello there, and welcome to the Sky Guys podcast. We are getting you ready for the first full region of the Star Wars Lightsaber Battle Bracket. They're going over the Palpatine region, the four battles heavily involving Palpatine's influence. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Phillips. With us here, as always, man, with voice your narration every single week. Pete Consadori is here. Pete, how are you?
Doing great. Excited to get into the full bracket now, not just the play-ins. Excited to see what you guys think about this particular bracket because I think there's some good ones in here. And yeah, excited to talk about it.
Yep. Also here with us today, the official Senate of the podcast, Nick Fraietta is here. Nick, how are you?
Doing great. Excited to talk about the Palpatine region. Good, it's a good region.
Yeah, once again, I want to apologize. I know to everybody who listened to the recap episode last week. We recorded an entire episode last week. Got the first four is fantastic, but unfortunately, technology glitches majorly failed us here. So I just let you guys figure don't leave without an episode. So I tell you know what happened, and we'll cover the ones that advanced in each episode. So Pete, they'll at least get some representation of what happened there.
Yeah, you'll get a little bit of it. Sorry again. I mean, the technology was not that great, unfortunately. Kind of put us in a bad position where we couldn't really salvage anything. So we're back up and running, and we'll like Mike said, we'll cover the stuff that in brief what we did last time.
Yep. And people want to subscribe to us, P in the Sky Guys, can do so Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspects. Simply search for the Sky Guys here podcast platform. Final episodes there here. And bracket season's underway. So make sure you're subscribed so you get to see the whole thing play out.
Yep, just gonna say two words. It's free.
It is free. And Nick, one more time, people want to follow us on social media. How can I do that?
At Sky Guys Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok. And this is a great time to do brackets, the time we're doing it. Because if you think about it, it's like the halfway point between when people are doing March Madness brackets. So if you follow our bracket and you follow that bracket, every 6 months you get to do a bracket.
Yeah. Plus, you're in Major League Baseball now. You're doing playoff bracket this week. So you do that bracket along with our bracket.
I guess so. It's not the same, I guess, as like a college basketball thing, but you can do it.
Yeah. Absolutely here. And you can check out the YouTube page, Mike Phillips on YouTube. We got video versions of the episodes here on the YouTube channel. Got all the graphics, all the fun stuff here, and the props. So all the fun stuff always happening here on the Sky Guys. But Nick, I caught up with some of the news we had last week, but I believe there's one thing that's a rumor right now that we need to discuss first.
Sure. So the rumor going around right now is that The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is the movie that's coming out, I think it's going to be 2026. That's what we're thinking so far. That movie is going to be the end of the Mandalorian property, but apparently Din Djarin, being the character Mandalorian, will pop up in other projects. So the movie is apparently replacing season four and is going to be the finale of that show. And I do not think. So what I'm looking for. I believe this. I
Yeah.
believe this 100% because I think it's just too hard to get Pedro Pascal to do a whole show.
Yeah. Yeah, P, I think is a case also. We saw a little bit in season three, they're kind of like stalling out a little bit, and we saw they're kind of tried to do the Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan is the main character, and Pedro Pascal is just there, and then it didn't really fly with the fans. So it feels like this may be their way. Okay, Pedro Pascal's so busy, we can get him for like an episode or something or a movie, but we can't get him really on a series anymore. So let's just put all our eggs in here and make a grand finale for this storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed the nail, hit the nail on the head. Jeez, I can't speak. I think you're right. I think there was a stall out in season three. They didn't really know what to do with it. Pedro Pascal is just way too popular right now. He's in so many projects, and they don't have rights to the actor. Right, the actor can go and sign on to projects, whenever he chooses. So it's very difficult. Like Nick, I believe this. I think it's smart. I think they could have went a couple different ways in Mandalorian, but that's a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah. And to clarify, Nick, I do think that like one of those projects would be the Dave Filoni Randoverse movie. Like Pedro Pascal's definitely gonna show up in that.
Yeah. 100%.
All right.
The next piece of news we have, which is the last piece, is that Lego's releasing a new USC set in October of Java sail barrage that are sailboards that will sell for $499 and $500. And this is one that we did discuss, unfortunately, that we lost. But
we're giving it to you guys here because I want the audience to get Pete's take on this one. I'm gonna share the YouTube version because on YouTube this is the Java Sail Barge UCS series coming on October 6th. It is 499.99. It has 3,942 pieces. It has 11 minifigures. It is 10 inches by 31 inches by 10 inches deep, including a big Jabba the Hutt minifigure here. Pete, your thoughts on what we're getting for the money?
I think it's a little bit of a ripoff. I think, we discussed this. Unfortunately, we lost the footage, but I think UCS models sometimes can be a ripoff. Just because, there's licensing fees because they're using IPs from different areas that they don't own. I think that they put UCS on there to jack up the price a little bit. You're seeing on the screen now, you get a exclusive Luke Skywalker lightsaber building set if you pre-order or buy within the first week of the UCS set coming out. I just think for the piece count, you're not really getting the value. You're just able to say you're getting it. Now, look, if you're into Lego, you have the money and you like this particular set, I'm not going to judge you if you go and buy that. I've bought my fair share of very expensive Lego sets. But especially for a piece that's not even 3 foot long, piece count is kind of mediocre for the price. To me, steer clear from it unless you're really, really a diehard Jabba fan. I just think the value is not there. For example, the 10,000 piece Eiffel Tower was about $630, and that's a lot more pieces than you're getting here. So for the physical product, may not be something you're interested in buying or jumping to get. This might be a set like the AT-AT that gets retired very quickly because of the price point and the popularity of it.
Yeah, I also think in terms of this set, I think the other thing that's going to be interesting, P, is like you've talked about build experience here. This feel like it has all the bad parts of the Eiffel Tower build because it looks like a lot of repetitive stuff, especially when you're building the outside of the barge.
The outside of the barge looks repetitive, but I'm sure the inside of the barge is going to be where the bulk of the experience will be. Obviously, as you can see, there's some detailed sets or rooms within the barge. So I'm not going to knock it. I'm not going to say the building experience is not going to be better maybe than the Eiffel Tower. Eiffel Tower being a very repetitive and mundane experience. Maybe that's why the price point's a little bit better on that one per piece. However, um, it's just something to think about. This is a very high price set, and I think that UCS sets don't last very long. I think the longest running UCS set is the Millennium Falcon. Everything else keeps getting recycled because the UCS Millennium Falcon still sells because it's a great kit. I think you get a very great experience from it. Stuff like this, like the AT-AT, the barge, I think they're kind of trying a little too hard. I think
Yeah,
there was something different they could have done, and I don't think this was the thing.
we we said it in July on the Lego History of Lego Star Wars podcast. UCS Death Star needs to happen.
Yeah, make a statement, even if it's 800-900 bucks, like the Millennium Falcon is. Make a statement, make a 10,000 piece or 9,000 piece Death Star that'll fly off the shelf. It will. It's a lot of money. I'm not saying that a lot of people will be able to get it, but for Lego collectors that are willing to spend the money, they'll spend the money on that. I don't know if they're going to spend the money on this.
Yep. That's it for the news, right, Nick? And you also wanted to talk a little Star Wars Outlaws a little bit, so you lost the mute button.
Yeah, did they change it where I can't just hit spacebar anymore?
It might have.
You
'Cause
used to be able
I
to.
I used to hit spacebar and it doesn't seem to work anymore ever since a couple updates ago. But I do want to talk about Outlaws. We talked about it last week. Unfortunately, we lost that to technology. But even since then, I've advanced so much further in that game, and I absolutely love it. I'm having so much fun. I'm on I guess you could say the third planet. There's like an intro world, then you go to your first planet, which is a big planet with a city and a whole desert, and then you have a choice to go to a bunch of different planets. And I've done that already, so I'm now on, I guess you could say, like I said, the third planet, and I love the game. I think it's spectacular. Um, there are some bugs with the game, and I think it was rushed a little bit. We discussed that, but I think it's so much fun. I really like the world feels lively when you're in these cities walking around. There's tons of people everywhere. There's tons of things to interact with. It feels alive, unlike a lot of other games where it's just big world that seems empty. Doesn't seem empty at all.
Yeah, P, I noticed that too, especially like you look at some of the videos online of like even just I've seen videos on Twitter of Kay Vess standing on Tatooine and like there's like people, there's creatures wandering through every 2 seconds, like compared to the Kobo experience on Jedi Survivor. Like it feels like there's a lot more activity going on in the open world portion than there was there.
Oh, 100%. I think Nick is completely correct. I think that even though there's bugs, it is a fun game. I'm enjoying it. I haven't been able to pick it up much lately with other releases of video games, and I think that's where the downfall um of Outlaws is. I'm not picking Outlaws over other games, right? I picked up
Are
NHL
you on the Hyrule
20.
guys?
What was that?
Are
Hyrule
you,
guys?
are you doing the Hyrule guys with the new Zelda game?
So yeah, I actually picked up Echoes of Wisdom. Not like the full Zelda game. It's like a spin-off, even though it's Legend of Zelda. I'm playing NHL 25, and I'm picking those up more than I'm picking up Outlaws. And it's not because it's a knock at how much I love the game. It's really fun, but I don't know. To me, I rather be playing NHL 25 and a different game. So I think that's the detriment of this game is that I don't know how many people are picking this game over the bigger titles that are coming up in this time period. I mean, we have in like 3 weeks Call of Duty coming out. So it's going to be a tough sell, especially once that comes out for people to get Outlaws if they haven't already got it at launch.
Yeah, this is a tough time of the year to launch a video game too, because like Jedi Survivor came out in like late April, where like there was not a ton going on at that point. I know there was a Zelda game around the same time, but like they were you had basically the summer where people like had less work time, but now you're in the fall, activities are kicking up again. Like you got people going back to work more regularly. It's hard, like if a game doesn't grab you immediately, I can see why, like it's not getting picked up as frequently when you have limited time options.
Now, I don't know any specific, maybe I'm not thinking properly of like big game releases that are slated for the end of this year. Are there any that I'm forgetting? I don't think so.
Assassin's Creed was supposed to be, but they moved it to February.
So my
Uh,
question is, why would they not just? I know they push things out when they shouldn't, but shouldn't they have just waited until they squash some more bugs and put this out at the end of the year as a holiday title?
I
It's
mean, I
definitely
think,
it would have made sense in
sorry,
my
man.
because I feel like there were enough bugs here where like people get annoyed and not pick it up for a while.
And there are, look, be honest, I haven't experienced any bugs playing. I have some little things where it's like, oh, I feel like I tried to get on my speeder and she didn't. Oh, that's a bug. What? That's not a big deal, though. People go out of their way to say there are groundbreaking or game-breaking bugs and they can't play. I haven't seen any of that, but there are people out there who are like that. They think the game's buggy, they won't play it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm still checking here. I don't sure trying to figure what the major games coming are. So I'll
I
keep
mean,
that.
Call of Duty is one of them.
Yeah, call.
NHL is one of them, right? Madden came out,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
So you got three. I forgot. Is AAA the biggest? I don't know how I can't remember the naming conventions, but you got three huge titles within a month of each other. And Outlaws was what, about a month ago?
yeah,
So yeah, it didn't come out exactly when these things come out. If you had nothing else that you were playing, you probably had a good month of playing Outlaws. But the problem is that if you want people to come back for DLC, or if you want people to say this is a great game, I played this as my main game. It's got to be polished when it comes out. Number one, but number two, there's got to be more like replayability for me, and that could be different for any other person. So I just think releasing that on the heels of NHL, Madden, and Call of Duty was a mistake. They probably should have waited until like next July when games don't come out and be like, look, a new Star Wars game, open world, nothing else is coming out, play this. And I
yeah,
think they may have had a little more success at launch at least.
yeah, yeah. That's for
I
sure.
think, I think that the demographic of those games are probably not the same as the demographic of this game, but they didn't do themselves any favors. Like, I'm not mistaken. I don't think this game was released for Steam.
I don't think so.
You
No.
play on PC, you can even get it on Steam. Like, so that's just silly. Why?
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
It doesn't really make much sense to me. So,
All right, so that's the situation with Outlaws. We'll cover this after the bracket is done, so about a month and change until we get to Outlaws. But let's get to the bracket, which is what we're covering today. So we're going to start out with the latest episode here. We're going to the Palpatine region here. These are our matchups for the week. We are going to Duel of the Fates as the top overall seed in the bracket against the Maul and Savage against Palpatine from the Clone Wars won his play-in matchup last week against the Obi-Wan General Grievous fight from episode 3. The other matchup here is Yoda against Palpatine in the Senate chamber from episode 3 against Mace Windu's squad against Palpatine in the Chancellor's office in Revenge of the Sith. So a lot of Palpatine action this week, Pete.
A ton. I mean, I think this region was named appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be clear, Nick, since the audience did not get the full criteria last week here, we are going based off roughly what the bracketologists said that they considered here, which is the importance of the battle to the story of Star Wars, the choreography, the sound and score. And Nick, I think we should take your suggestion last week. I think we should add in like memorability as well. I think that's an important criteria to consider
I
here.
had two suggestions. I can't remember that. Well, there's vulnerability. I can't remember what the other one was.
Yeah.
Do you
I don't,
remember?
I don't not remember. I know you were very big on the memorability thing.
I was big on the memorability, and then there was something else. Maybe like iconic or rewatchability. I don't remember if that was one, if that was it. Maybe that's no, that's kind of that probably wasn't it. But if I think of it, I'll be sure to bring it up. But I remember there were two other things.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep that in mind here. Let's go into our first match here, the Duel of the Fates. The reason why we're doing this bracket is anybody can top this one against the playing winner from last week, Maul and Savage in against Palpatine from season 5 of Clone Wars. So we'll start out with the heavyweight battle here. Duel of Fates overall here. Rewatching it, guys, one thing I noticed that I forget about here is that it's spread. It's not only is it about 6 minutes of actual like action in the fight, but it's spread out over like a solid 30 minutes of the movie because you're cutting between that and the Gungan battle and and Padme trying to take back the castle and Anakin flying into space. So, in terms of like scale of the battle, this is probably the biggest one Star Wars ever attempted.
Agreed. I actually like that. I feel like that was a thing more in original and prequels, more so than I don't think they did this really in the sequels, and I don't think they did this really in um any of the shows where they're having multiple battles going on at the same time and cutting between them. They did the same thing in Return of the Jedi, switching between what's going on at Endor, what's going on with Lando, what's going on, in the air, what's going on with Luke on the Death Star. They didn't do that in since, and I really like that. I like the cutting between the stuff. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and P, I feel like this helped because I felt like there were like distinct phases to the battle. Like the cuts made sense. Like, oh, we're doing this part now. Oh, now it's Qui-Gon and Maul running through the laser shields. Now it's Qui-Gon kills Maul, and oh, here comes Obi-Wan and gets knocked in the pit and has to hang on for dear life. Like this, it sort of built the dramatic tension as the thing went on.
It did, and it kind of gives you a sense of the environment. There's other things going on at the same exact time. I think when you just have that one scene that you're watching, it's like this is the only thing big that's happening in the movie right now. So I think it segments it out like you had said, but I also think it gives you that sense of environment of hey, there's multiple other things happening while a huge lightsaber battle is also happening.
Yeah, I think that helps here, and no question here. I mean, Dave Filoni has said here like it's got its nickname for a reason in terms of the importance to the overall Star Wars story here. Because like, if Qui-Gon survives this duel, like the entire fate of the galaxy is different. We don't really have a Star Wars.
Yeah, this is going to be. I don't think it's impossible, but I think this is a hard one to lose in a head-to-head. I don't think it's impossible, though. I do think there are one or two battles that can outduel Duel of the Fates, but this for sure is not one of them. But I'm not. That's not my vote yet.
Yeah, not yet. And Pete, also we gotta give this battle props for the iconic score in cinema here. I mean, like the music itself has like been like 25 years iconic for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, you hear it, you immediately know it's Star Wars. You may not know exactly where it's from if you're not, savvy upon, about the movies, but if you hear it, you know it's Star Wars, and the score is just incredible.
Yeah, that was incredible. And memorability, Nick, I feel like also very high.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because like you tell people, Star Wars fans, this right, they know exactly what you're talking about. Let's go to the other side and see what has the unfortunate fate of running into this lightsaber battle. Here is the season 5 Maul and Savage against Palpatine from Clone Wars. This is in the middle of the arc where Maul sees his coup on Mandalore, takes over, kills Satine, takes the throne. Obi-Wan flees. At the end of this arc, Palpatine sort of senses what's going on Coruscant. He flies in, ways to Maul's guards, has a big fight with the two of them, our first true dark on dark side fight we got here. So a lot of fun stuff here. In terms of the Pete, give me your general take on what got it through here last week.
I mean, I think you're asking me like what made me push it through.
Yeah, like why? Like, some of the always why we put this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that the choreography, and I know it's tough to say the choreography is so good because it's animated, but the choreography is great. Um, I feel like this is one of the only parts of Star Wars you get the true sense of Emperor Palpatine before he's quote unquote weak. Um, I I mean, there's other parts too, Revenge of the Sith, but I just think he just kind of comes in and just does so much work, and it's just like easy. It's like, yeah, no, we're done. You know, I'm the Emperor for a reason. I'm the Master for a reason. And I think the choreography, the memorability of it is what made it pass through. I don't even think remember the score that much, but it's at least just the choreography, the importance, the memorability for me as well.
Yeah, Nick, I think also with this fight, the score, you watch it, like it's good for what it is. Obviously, it's not gonna be a movie level score, but like I think the thing I like is A, the dark side users fighting each other, which you don't get very often. And B, you also get like some really cool moves from Palpatine, some savages where he like basically like takes two blades back, fighting them both like with on one, goes back and just shivs like Savage with both lightsabers and then beats Maul in submission, basically has Maul begging for mercy, which shows you like how powerful Palpatine is at his prime.
Absolutely. This is a fantastic battle. This it's really upsetting for this battle that it had to go up against Duel of the Fates in the bracket because it's a great battle. There's really not a lot of issues. Except maybe what Pete said, I don't remember the score. I don't know if I should remember the score, but it wasn't anything memorable. The battle itself, though, is a lot of fun, and it's a new dynamic, like you mentioned, having the dark side users against each other. Something that we haven't seen to that point, and I don't think we've seen since.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen it since. I think the closest, like, we had some early Clone Wars where like Asajj and Dooku were dealing with each other, but like this might be the last time.
Yes, true, true. But really good battle. One of the most memorable in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
If
I
you're
think,
talking about Clone Wars battles, there's a few in season seven, or one specifically in season seven that really stands out. But besides that, this is probably number two.
yeah. I mean, this to me, P, I feel like if you watch Clone Wars, you're not forgetting this fight. Like if you haven't seen it, like you're not gonna, it's not killing you overall because you know that Palpatine still comes out on top, but like go watch it. You go watch the episode.
I mean, I think it's also part of the most memorable parts of Clone Wars where Darth Maul took over Mandalore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a huge story arc. It's not just that fight. So I think it's just a perfect ending or a perfect, tail end of that arc to have.
Yeah. And Nick, another thing that's interesting here is that like this is a situation here that Palpatine basically has to go full Thanos. Goes, I have to deal with this myself because he tells Maul when he walks in the room. Maul kind of goes, "Oh, I did this for you. Like I want to be by your side again." And Palpatine's response to him is like, "You have become a rival," which shows you that he actually saw Maul as a threat. He needed to take up care of personally.
That's pretty cool. It is. Didn't think of that. It's a really cool battle. There's really nothing wrong with this battle, except maybe you could say the score, which I don't want to say the score was bad by any means, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But it, look, it ran into the '98 Yankees, unfortunately.
Yeah. It ran into like the unbeaten Kentucky team in 2014. It's not getting
Yeah,
through. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So to be clear, this is a clean sweep from us, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yep. And I will mention, ironically enough, both 2v1 fights.
Yeah. Well, 2v1 fights here. And Nick, we also doing the people's bracket. You guys have been voting on the Instagram polls here. I believe this is also a clean sweep for the audience.
Yeah, it was. It was.
100% for Duel of the Fates is an impressive result.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yep. Let's go on to Palpatine's action for Revenge of the Sith, the other two
That
battles.
Kentucky team lost though, didn't they?
They lost the final four.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Duel of the Fates have the same fate? We'll find out.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting.
Yep. So the other battle here. Yeah, these are Yoda and Palpatine in the Senate chambers from episode 3. That's the 2 seed in this region. The 3 seed, Mace Windu and his guys against Palpatine when they go arrest him in episode 3 earlier in the movies in the Senate chamber in the Chancellor's office here. So, Pete, where do you want to start?
Let's start with Mace Windu's battle.
All right, so we have the Mace Windu fight against Palpatine. Those you've seen the movie, obviously remember this one where Mace shows up with three masters who arrest Palpatine. Palpatine quickly lays waste to three of them. Ends up being an even fight till Mace kicks his lightsaber out the window. Palpatine tries to force lightning him, and Mace deflects it back, basically weakens him to the point Anakin shows up. Palpatine manipulates Anakin into basically completing the turn, slicing Mace's hands off. Mace gets lightninged out the window by Palpatine. That's the end of the fight here. So, in terms of Nick, general thoughts here about this fight.
A very good fight. There's questions about this fight. There's answers that are given in this fight. There's a little bit of weirdness in this fight, and that three Jedi Master go down in the span of 8 seconds. Two of them in 1 second, and another one lasted another 5 seconds, maybe, with
Uh,
Kit Fisto lasting a little bit longer. But
R.I.P.
uh,
Kit Fisto.
yeah, but great, great battle. I mean, another one of those battles, though, that suffers, unfortunately, from the we know what's going to happen when we're watching it battle. We don't know what's going to happen, but you know Palpatine's not going to die.
Yes.
You know that much when you're watching it. You don't really know if Mace Windu's going to die. You don't know if he's going to survive and we're going to be in hiding, whatever. But really excellent battle. And if I'm not mistaken, some of the score here is taken from other battles.
Yeah, I
Or
believe
am I
they
thinking of,
mixed a couple together.
or am I thinking of the other battle in this? I'm thinking of the two seed in this one because in the two seed in this one, it's
Yeah, it's like a mix in the two, in like the Yoda scene with the Senate chamber.
yeah. But anyway, this is a really tough matchup. So I know the poll on Instagram results because I put it up and I could see who voted for what. And I'm pretty sure you both voted. I don't remember if you did, though. I personally did not vote on this one because I'm in the middle and I really don't know.
Yeah,
So I'm excited to talk about both of them to form my own opinion on it.
Pete, what do you think about this fight specifically? I think a thing that I liked here is I thought the choreography really stood out on this one here in terms of the base, like the Samuel L. Jackson, Ian McDiarmid, like portions of it was pretty good. And I do think importance to the story, I think, is also massive because this is the point where the turn happens for Anakin, where like he's conflicted until this point, and this is the decisive moment where he flips the switch, becomes Darth Vader, where like you don't have the rest of the sequels without this story.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to disagree with you on the choreography. I think there's much better choreography in this movie, in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, there's times where Jedi are just standing there while Palpatine are killing the other Jedi, and they're just watching instead of doing anything. And I think that a lot of Star Wars movies and a lot of fight scenes in general in movies suffer from that, especially when you're looking for that sort of thing. So that kind of bothered me a bit. I felt like the lightsaber work was not that great on Palpatine's end in that fight for some reason. I feel like Samuel L. Jackson did a phenomenal job. Just it seemed weak from a master Sith Lord.
Yeah.
So that part kind of was a little on a low for me. And then also the memorability for me was low. Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite, if not the favorite Star Wars movie in my personal opinion. And I don't even remember them fighting before the whole lightning scene. For some reason I thought he walked in and it just turned into the lightning scene. I didn't even remember the whole going down the hallway and stuff. So for me, my opinion, not everyone else's, the memorability was very low for me. Other than that, the score was good. The importance is obviously there. But yeah, those two things kind of like stuck out as like a kind of moment.
Yeah, Nick, the also thing to me, I think one thing that detracts from this a little bit is the end when like he ends up being like where after Anakin chops his hand off, makes his hand off, and Palpatine lightens him out here, him just screaming ultimate power, like unlimited power, whatever it is. It feels like very, very cheesy for the moment.
I agree. I think it raises questions, though. It's something I like about this battle. Now, did Mace Windu actually win? Did Palpatine let him win? Like, these are questions that we don't actually know these answers. Did Palpatine know Anakin was coming and sensed it and did that on purpose so Anakin would turn and make himself seem weak? Or did Mace Windu actually beat him? I like that about it, that there's some questions, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily make it a better battle because it has questions to it. And I kind of agree with Pete in that it's not that memorable. I remember the beginning, obviously, when he jumps out, kills all the Jedi. I remember the end. The battle itself, I don't really remember any like moves from it, anything specific. Not that it's bad in any way, but I don't really remember it. But I will say this. this is the first time in Star Wars canon, or at least new canon, that we see Palpatine's lightsaber. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So that is pretty cool. We in the theater, we don't. I'm sure it was in the trailers, stuff like that. But in the theater, we don't know that's happening. We're sitting there watching, and then all of a sudden, he attacks with a lightsaber. Like, wow, Palpatine's using a lightsaber. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know he had one. As a kid, I always imagined that he had a black lightsaber
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And the guy, he didn't. Obviously, he had a red one. But um,
Yeah.
that's a cool dynamic. That's a cool added little bonus to this fight. The fact that it's the first time we see his lightsaber.
they stole your idea for the dark saber.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and Pete, another thing I'll mention here with this fight, I think is interesting here is like in terms of Nick's point of like, is Palpatine letting him win or is Mace Windu just like kicking his ass? I go the latter because I feel like he's surprised when like Mace Windu kicks him in the hand, the lightsaber flies out the window.
Yeah, I
True.
mean, I also think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the purple lightsaber signify that there is some sort of dark force knowledge there?
Like,
I know that's maybe not be the reason why Mace Windu in the movies had it, but later on, didn't we discuss that the orange and the purple have something to do with dark side and light side being mixed together?
there's a
Yeah.
yeah,
The
there's a little bit of
purple's
that
like a
red blue hybrid.
a balance between the dark and light side. So
Right.
the,
So I mean,
the inner struggle.
and look, this might be in, credit to George Lucas. It may have just been it works out this way, but Mace Windu knows how to fight dark side people because he's a mix of dark side and light, right? If we're gonna go by the lightsaber color, obviously there's rumors out there about why the lightsaber color is that way. The actor asked for it specifically. It's because of the Force thing. It's all speculation. I don't know. I don't have George Lucas sitting in front of me to explain it to me. But if we're gonna go by color lightsaber and what Force wielding that color lightsaber means, it kind of makes sense that he can go up against Emperor Palpatine and do some damage, and it takes an extra person to help Mace get defeated.
Isn't it kind of ridiculous that if that is all true, like I guess it is because that's what it means that the purple signifies that there is some sort of inner conflict with dark and light.
Yes.
That the guy who has inner conflict between dark and light is number two in command in the entire order. Isn't that kind of like insane when you think about it like that?
Well, to me, it just shows that he knows how to channel that destructive ability properly.
Would it be purple then? Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it would be purple, I feel like.
Okay, then that's fine with me.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing with this fight also, you consider that situation is that like obviously I've had my issues with the setup here where Mace Windu knows that there's a Sith Lord running the whole Republic. He takes only three Jedi Masters with him, whereas he should just take everybody at the temple to sort of, ensure if the job gets done properly. But I do think like the end of the fight here, obviously, like a little like weird how it ends, and like I think like having Clone Wars fleshes it out the Anakin side better. It feels like very sudden if you just watch the movies. He just flips like that.
True, true. Yeah, it kind of ends into the Palpatine officially becoming, as we know, the Emperor in terms of look, at least.
Yeah,
At that point, he's still the Chancellor. Actually, he's not even the Emperor yet. That he uses that attack as the you
excuse.
know as the to try to get sympathy in the Senate.
Yep, that's true here. You guys, anything else you want to add on this one before the others go the other side of this one?
I really, really, really like the shot when they open the window together with the lightsabers. That's
Yeah,
it.
that was nice. That was a nice, cool effect.
Yeah,
Then you got the wind blowing and they're trying to like deal with each other. That's pretty cool.
yeah, and this seems like a really easy question that I don't know if we actually know the answer to. Do you guys know off the top of your head? Is Mace Windu officially in canon dead?
I don't think they officially confirmed it ever. I think they just left it.
According to Wikipedia, he's dead, but I don't know if like they ever really confirmed that.
Maybe it's in a book somewhere
Yeah.
or a comic book. Because I know like Samuel L. Jackson had argued for years that he's willing to come back as Mace Windu.
Mm-hmm. Love to see him in a flashback or like a Force Ghost or something.
Yeah, P. I think he's looking for more like the 75-year-old Mace Windu with a beard and one less hand in the Mando era. That's what he's hoping for.
I mean, the only thing I'll say is that Darth Maul died in a similar fashion in the movies, and he wound up being alive. So that's why I think Mace Windu is still alive in canon.
All right, so let's go to this other battle here. Yoda and Palpatine in the in the Senate chambers here, and like this is when Yoda shows up after they win. They take back the temple to some degree. Says, "I'm going to take Palpatine on." Knocks out his royal guards. He gets force lighting by Palpatine right away. Then they pull the lightsabers out and they fight. They have this whole cinematic entrance into the Senate chamber where the floor opens and they're fighting in the empty Senate. They basically, to me, this fight, Nick, I feel like on rewatch a little overrated because in terms of this pure lightsaber fight, there's not much of it because they are like Yoda's flipping around the Palpatine throne seat for about like a minute, and then we cut. They're separated, and Palpatine's hurling discs at him the rest of the fight.
It's a decent point, but I think of this battle as God versus the devil. It's the ultimate good versus the ultimate bad. It's the two captains of the teams, if you will, going against each other. It's at the end of your third movie, so it's supposed to go hand in hand with your ultimate battle, which ends up being Battle of the Heroes. And it's like everything with the prequels that's built up to this moment. They're using the Senate, which we've been dealing with the Senate all three movies. We've been in there and out of there as part of their battle. It's like the ultimate battle for the prequel trilogy, which is something I really appreciate about this battle. Another one, though, that when we're watching it, we know exactly what happens. We know neither of them die, and they both get out alive.
Yeah, Pete, your thoughts on this fight?
You can't fault the battle for that though. So please do not use that as a way to say one is better or worse. I'm not.
Pete, what do you want to add to that?
I just think, I mean, I agree with Nick. I just think that the importance of that battle is lacking. I'm not saying it's not important, but if you really think about the story moving forward, it shows that both of them stay alive and how, Yoda escapes or whatever. But I just think it's just more so, I hate to say fan service because it's not, but it's more so like, okay, the big bad versus the big good are going to fight now. Um, I think there's other lightsaber battles within that specific episode or that movie, episode three, that have more importance to the Star Wars story. Very cool battle, like the choreography. I think it's super fun. I think it's needed, but I don't know how important it is um, to the overall story arc.
Yeah, to me, I think the most important thing of this point is the end where Palpatine basically uses force lighting, knocks Yoda's lightsaber away from him, and then basically just like pushes him off with the lightning to the point where Yoda basically is falling down and realizes like I have no shot beating this guy. I just gotta run. So I think that's the important thing to me here. And that's kind of like I know canonically both have survived, but to me it's like it ends on a whimper.
It does. This battle, in terms of importance, it's really important at the time. Let's say the movies were numerical order rather than when whoever. Like, if Yoda were to win, that's extremely important.
Yes.
If Palpatine were to win, it's extremely important for the future. But being that it's a prequel battle, and we're not doing importance based on that, we're doing importance on how that battle impacted the storyline. It really didn't very much, except for the fact that no, I was gonna say something that's even wrong, but I was gonna say that it impacts that line of when Yoda tells Obi-Wan that you can't face the Emperor, he's too strong. But that happens before, so
Yep.
that doesn't impact it. The only thing it does impact though is when Yoda tells Luke you can't underestimate him.
Yeah.
So it's good to it is it. I guess that's maybe the whole point of the whole battle was to make that line in Return of the Jedi make a little bit more sense. Like, don't underestimate the Emperor. I've seen it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So in terms of the vote here, first of all, anything you want to add anything else before you go ahead and vote on these?
No,
Um, Yeah, I'd like to add one thing. I think both of these would have served better as one big lightsaber battle in episode three. Doesn't have anything to do with the voting, but just an idea. I think Yoda and Mace Windu in there and all that happens. I think it could have just been one instead of separated out. But has nothing to do with our voting. So
All right, so let's go ahead here and do our vote. Uh Nick, I feel like you want to go last on this one. So
I don't want to go last because I don't want to be the deciding vote because I'm still kind of in the middle and that wouldn't be a proper deciding vote. So I am gonna go. I'd like to go first or second.
you go first then.
All right, I'm gonna go in terms of these battles. I'm gonna go with the Yoda one versus which is our I think our two seed.
Yes.
our 2 seed over the 3 seed because I feel like it's more of an ultimate grand stage of a battle and the memorability. You said, Mike, it's a little overrated.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It is a little overrated. But the fact that it's overrated means people think that it's good. It means it left a good impression on them. It means it's memorable.
Yeah.
Versus this Mace Windu one, which Pete said, I don't even remember them fighting. And I kind of agree with him. I remember him jumping out of the chair, doing the 1080 corkscrew, and then I remember 5 seconds later they're by the window. What happened in the middle? I don't even remember. I mean, I watched it. Of course, I remember. I seen it 100 times, and I did the rewatch prior to recording here. But it doesn't. It's not memorable to me. Also, we completely failed to mention Yoda and Palpatine uses Duel of the Fates as its soundtrack.
Yes.
So that's to me that's definitely a bonus point.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna throw a vote on the Mace Windu side here. I think just for the fact that like we get the shock and awe of Palpatine like pulling the lightsaber out, killing three Jedi really quickly, Mace getting the upper hand on him, and this whole point where Anakin turns in the story. I'm gonna make that the vote and tie it up here. So Pete, you can break the tie.
It's gonna be Palpatine Yoda. I think that the Mace Windu fight was not memorable. I think the choreography was a little bit of a letdown, considering, like Nick said, they do this corkscrew and all of a sudden it just turns into this like weird dance with a lightsaber, while other people are just watching it happen. It's, Mace Windu's is important to the story, maybe more so than the Yoda Palpatine one, but it's just, I think, a lesser lightsaber battle. Still important, still cool to watch. I'm not trying to ding it any more than that, but yeah, Yoda Palpatine.
All right, so that was that advances to the final here. It was 2-1 from us, and the audience, Nick, sided with us here. 75%, I believe, was on the Yoda Palpatine fight.
It was. Yep. It was.
All right, so last but not least here, these are our final. This is our final battle here of this region of the bracket. Here we have the Duel of the Fates against the Yoda and Palpatine fight. So these two battles are going head to head to see who advances. We're doing our vote now. You want to discuss it anymore? Are you guys ready to go?
There's nothing else for me to add, so I'm good. But
Pete, you want to add anything? Are you ready to vote?
No, I'm ready.
All right. So, is there anyone here who wants to vote for Yoda and Palpatine over Duel of the Fates?
nope.
I do not either. Pete, I'm assuming that's a no.
Correct.
All right, as expected here, Duel of the Fates into the final four. This is not an unexpected result for the audience, but you see, I thought there were some interesting discussions here of the other battles here. There were some challenges here that got ran to a buzzsaw.
Yeah, this was an interesting region because of, I mean, Duel of Fates is a great battle, so I want to talk about it. And I think the 2-3 matchup was a great matchup.
Yeah,
So that's why this was a good region. But Duel of the Fates was going to clear the whole time. We always knew that. And it's going to be in I guess the final four. It's already there. So it's going to be in the final four. And then I don't know. I'm trying to not look at the whole bracket and remember everything. So like that way things are coming up more of a surprise to me when we go and watch it. But I don't want to like do the whole bracket in my head. But
yep,
I got a feeling this is going to I got a feeling it might get upset at some point.
yep. It might. So next week we are going to the Obi-Wan Kenobi region. So that's the next region we're doing here. We're going left to right on the bracket to the two overall seed. So here's what we got coming up next week. If you want to start filling out the bracket with us on the social media polls here, we have Battle of the Heroes, Obi-Wan and Anakin from Revenge of the Sith. That's the 2 seed overall. Against our playing winner from last week, Anakin against Dooku in the beginning of this movie. And then our 2-3 battle here. Ahsoka against Maul in season 7 of the Clone Wars, the final season battle there, and Yoda against Dooku from Attack of the Clones. So this should be an interesting region next week,
I'm
Nick.
laughing because I think this is going to play out exactly the same as this week. I think the 1-4 is obvious. The 2-3 is a great matchup, but the winner is unfortunately just going to lose to the one anyway.
Yeah. Pete, what are your thoughts about what we have coming up next week?
Yeah, I think Nick's right. I really don't know what else to say on that one.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the 2-3 matchup.
Yeah, well, we're gonna watch all these again next week, and once again, Nick, people want to follow us on the social medias at Sky Guys Podcast, especially on Instagram. Here, you can vote in the polls and be part of the people's bracket.
That's right. Yeah, we're getting some pretty decent engagement on that. So we'd like more. So please vote. If you see
And
the polls, vote.
also, if you have a full bracket you want to fill out, submit it to us on one of our social media platforms. And at the end of the exercise, you complete the final four battle here. We will share some of those on the pod.
Oh yeah, yeah, go ahead. If you have a full bracket you'd like to fill out, please do.
Yep,
I'm
absolutely.
also going to do that. I'll if you can give me a copy, Mike, I'll do that with some people that are friends of the podcast and try to get some more brackets out there from people.
I
We can
will.
look react afterwards.
I'll take that. I'll take care of that off air. I'll get that to you within the next couple of days. So because we have still a month of matchups to play through. So
Yeah, that'd be cool to get some opinions from people.
yep, absolutely. Here, I want to thank you guys for coming on. As always, really appreciate it. Pete, if you want to follow you on social media, how can I do that?
At Concy29 on Twitter, CONSY29, AP Tyler308 created the background I'm using here on Zoom, on Reddit, so make sure you check them out.
Nick, one more time. Social media.
At Sky Guys Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok. All of the bracketology stuff will be on Instagram.
Yeah, all the polls are going to be on the Instagram story. So you want to follow us there if you want to vote in the polls for the people's bracket.
Yep.
All right. You can also follow me on social media, mphillips331. It's MPHILIPS331. This is over the Just on the Suffering podcast. It's MLB playoff time, and both New York teams are in it. So we're going to do an MLB playoff preview episode coming out. I think it'll be out by the time you listen to this one, but we'll have some MLB playoff preview and NFL picks later in the week. So fun, busy week ahead there, Nick.
Yeah, every week's a busy week in football season.
Yeah. And now you got both New York baseball teams in the playoffs. That's something we haven't had in a while.
When's the last time that happened?
I think 22 would definitely happen. Before that, you might have to go back a while.
All right, yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for us. We'll be back next week for the Obi-Wan Kenobi region as they continue playing through the bracket. But until then, may the force be with you.